Tradin Faves podcast, here we come. That's it.
You gotta trust the podcast, Luigi.
No, Mario's the one that it's... you gotta trust the podcast, Mario.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Gosh, sorry.
Right.
This is a great
time.
So
everybody, welcome to our really stupid Tradin Extras episode. We're here to talk about the Mario movie and the Mario movie.
Super Mario Bros.
More like stupid Mario Bros.
Oh, man.
Yeah, it's just gonna be a lot of this, like, tired, like,
yeah,
done with
sorry.
life energy.
I'm very tired.
Okay, to explain what we're gonna attempt to do and not do very well in this little extra thing, back to back, we watched the 1993 Super Mario Bros. Movie and the new Super Mario Bros. Movie. New Super Mario Bros. The current Super Mario Bros. Movie that is in theaters at the time of recording.
The animated one.
And we decided we're gonna pit Bob Hoskins and Chris Pratt in a death match.
The new death battle dropped.
Yo, the new death battle dropped.
Mario versus Mario. It's Mario versus Mario.
Charles Martinet is the voiceover for, like, the announcer for the battle.
It's just the Punch-Out ring.
We're making our Marios fight. It's gonna be fun.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. Part of the thing, too, was that, like, I had some preconceived, like, I'm like, this is probably what my feelings are gonna be. And then those feelings radically shifted when we watched both of these movies.
Right. I don't know. I felt like my opinion stayed pretty intact with the 1993 Mario movie, but
yeah,
I definitely was not expecting.
Did we want to start talking with that one and then get to the new one, or
yeah, let's talk about the less liked one first.
Yeah.
Some people, like, if you're young enough, you may not even know that this existed. There was a live action Mario movie that released in the 90s. Pretty much like the only games that were out at the time was up to, like, Super Mario World.
That's right, because so, Yoshi was in the movie.
Because there was dinosaurs in the movie. That was the theme of the movie, was dinosaurs.
My feelings.
It's a very
about
strange
this movie.
movie.
Yeah, this it stars Bob Hoskins as Mario, John Leguizamo as Luigi, and Dennis Hopper as Koopa.
Not as the voice of Koopa.
Yeah, it's like him, just himself.
The normal human man. And also it's Koopa and not Bowser.
Oh.
I have a feeling that all the notes that they were given about Super Mario Bros. Were handed from, like, Japanese staff and translated. And that's why some stuff is not accurate.
Yeah, it's fun. I've gone on record saying this, like, especially after we watched it this last time, which was the most surprising part. Maybe a little bit of it was the nostalgia.
Right?
Maybe a little bit of it, but I was trying to be as objective as I could when I watched it. As an adaptation, this movie is hot garbage.
It's awful.
But, like, as a standalone film, it's kind of fun. Like, in a so bad, it's amazing. Like,
yeah, it's basically an hour and 45 minutes of Bob Hoskins just not having a clue what's going on.
One of my coworkers told me apparently he did not know that this movie was an adaptation of something. He thought it was an original story until they were done filming.
Yeah.
Which tells you about this movie.
Yeah. It's very not faithful. It's such an inaccurate movie.
It's funny because although it's infinitely better in that regard, I always could say the same thing about like the Scott Pilgrim movie. Like as an adaptation, I was like, this sucks, dude. Like this is not Scott. This is Michael Cera. Like, but then like as a standalone film, just on its own, it's phenomenal. It's amazing, and I love it. And like that's kind of my feelings towards this movie. Like, there's so many weird choices in there.
There's like, I don't even know where to start. There's so much just like weird and even like lewd stuff in this movie that's just like it pushes like the uncomfortable button a couple of times.
Yes. Oh my goodness. There were so many just decisions that this movie
decisions
made.
That like it's not an accident. You see it and you're like, yes, that was the director's intention for how this movie went. Like
the one dance scene with Mario in the club was just like, why did this need to be here?
Big Bertha.
Yeah, like why?
And then even right down to like the Goombas being like giant lizard people.
Lizard people, the weird like tiny heads.
He looked like the... Oh, man, now I'm going to be a fake Spider-Man fan. Who is the bad guy in, like, the Amazing Spider-Man? It was Dr. Connors or something
Yeah,
like that?
the lizard.
Oh, the lizard, yeah. Like, how that one had kind of, like, an unusually, like, humanoid face.
Yup.
For supposedly being a lizard man. That is what our Goombas look like.
Like just the really tiny heads. It's the most upsetting part of it. And like,
yeah.
There were so many just weird choices.
Mm-hmm.
But then like, and this is the thing too, there were some like jokes that genuinely made me laugh. Like now that I'm an adult, and I watch this, like there's so many little like asides that people make. I was just like, wait, why is that actually funny? Like it's been a bit since we watched it, so I'm trying to remember like specific examples, or just like
there's just a lot of like silly banter between Mario and Luigi.
Yep.
Like, Mario's like, what, do you think I'm an idiot? And Luigi's like, well, yeah, but check this thing out. Like, there was like, sass each other.
There was that one little, like, it wasn't a B plot, it's more like a Q plot. But,
right?
like Koopa's trying to order a pizza, and he like, where's my pizza? and then there's that bit where he's got the de-evolution gun pointed at Mario, and he's got, like, the walkie-talkie, and just, sir, your pizza's here. Like, for some reason, that killed me. I was like, this is so stupid, but I love it.
It really just embodies everything, like... Everything about 90s movies from that era, the good and the bad.
Yes. Oh my goodness, that's exactly my thoughts watching it. I was like, man, I feel like I went back to the 90s. Like, oh, and the most fun part about our viewing of this was both my sister-in-laws were over, and they had not seen the movie.
Yes.
So we derived so much enjoyment from watching them try to make sense of this movie.
Yes. They're like, any moment now it's gonna be like the video games, right? And it just, like, never quite gets there.
It never does. It's so funny. Like, I don't know. Maybe that means I'm a masochist, but just watching them, like, lose it over some of the ludicrous decisions. like what's really funny too is like those two mooks It was Spike and what was the guys? What was it was one of the Koopalings.
Right. Was it Iggy?
I think it was Iggy.
Yeah, Iggy and Spike.
Which was really funny because I had a friend who, like, that was their favorite Koopaling. And so they're like, why is he the one that's in this movie? Oh, my goodness.
And there's just I don't want to say it's inappropriate because it really fits the tone of this, but there's just the random, like, whimsical orchestra music that plays whenever they're, like, doing, like, action scenes and stuff.
Oh, man. The number one thing that I still accept as canon from this movie is the fact that their last name is Mario.
Yes. So it's Mario and Luigi Mario. I love that scene.
Like,
still.
that scene genuinely cracks me up, and I'm like, yeah, no, this is canon. As well as, I think it's Vine Sauce that posed this theory, but like Vinny's like, oh yeah, no, Wario and Waluigi are the Scapelli brothers.
No, I think that was from, what was that? That was from Super Gaming Bros.
Oh, was it? Okay. It was somebody. Somebody.
Because the Scapelli crew is like the construction guys.
Yeah.
That are always like lording over the Mario Brothers and talking about how they're terrible and like being, cheesy 90s movie bullies.
Oh, man.
And so they started joking that Wario and Waluigi
also just...
their last names are Scapelli.
There's the bit where, like, he turns one of them into a monkey. Just Dennis Hopper. Monkey!
Monkey. Dennis Hopper just, like, goes back and forth from being, like, the worst actor in the movie to being, like, not, like, good at his job, but the most entertaining actor.
Yes. Oh, my goodness.
It's such a strange movie.
It's so... Like, I just look at this movie and its existence, and just how much, like... it did not understand its target audience. Like,
oh, we didn't even talk about, like, one of the weirdest aspects of it. The leading lady for the movie is Daisy.
Yes!
And there is no, like, Princess Peach. Like, not even Peach, like Princess Toadstool or whatever you would call her back in the 90s. Like, there is no Peach at all in the movie. It's Mario, Luigi, and Daisy.
Yeah, like, Mario already has a girlfriend, and I remember, like... one of my sister-in-laws is like, so that's Peach then, right? And we're like, no, that's just Mario's girlfriend. And then, like, I think her name was, like, Denise or something like that.
Yeah, that's right. It was like Denise or something.
Something.
They could have even done Pauline. Like, that one was free.
Could have, but, why do that?
No, but it's just a weird movie.
Yeah, and it's funny though, because, like, I derived a lot of enjoyment from this movie, which surprised me. Like, when we were sitting down, I was like, okay, like, I think I'm gonna hate this, but, like, that's what and then I went in, and we laughed so much during this movie. We probably weren't supposed to laugh, but, like...
No, it's kind of a comedy. Like,
it is, but, like, even the, like, moments that we weren't supposed to laugh, we were laughing.
Right.
There were so many just dumb things that were just like, yeah, okay, this is a thing.
Yeah, growing up, there's definitely some of the, like, the body horror aspects of it that, like, really, really upset me as a kid. Like where they use the de-evolution ray to turn Toad into a Goomba.
Yeah, never mind the fact that, like, that is Toad, and he never, as far as we know, never changes back.
Yeah, they just keep him a Goomba for the rest of the movie.
Which was that was a decision. Also, can I just say the Mushroom Kingdom was ugly.
Well, it was like... because it's an underground city, right?
Yeah.
They're going for a very, like...
dystopian...
unsettling, yeah, kind of
like
dystopian
lawless
vibe.
grease pit town that...
Because they're supposed to show, like, the influence that Koopa had over everything, and so he turned it all into, you know, casinos and nightclubs and, you know, edgy business tycoon whatever stuff.
Also the weird, like, pseudo-technology, like the little, like, light guns that they'd use to, like, order stuff and, like, do video calls.
Yeah. Or just, like Mario and Luigi approach a seemingly nice old lady, and then she, like, shoots Mario.
Oh my gosh, she's like, it's dangerous to walk around the Mushroom Kingdom without a...
She's like, do you boys have weapons?
You have a gun?
No, ma'am.
No.
You have a gun? No, ma'am. Oh, good.
And then she's like, her cane is like a taser.
Yeah.
Like, again, as an adaptation, horrible. Who looked at, like, 8-bit Mario jumping on Goombas and thought, this is what this would look like in real life, and how to give context to all of this?
Well, clearly the directors didn't, because they didn't see the original game.
I guess. But then just, like, as a standalone film, like, so many of those dumb gags, like, genuinely got me.
Well, and it has something that I've been missing so much from modern film, and that's visual gags.
Yes.
Particularly, like, the one that, like, I don't care how much you hate this movie. There is one particular scene that, like, without fail has made everybody I've ever met, like, that's seen this movie laugh, and it's the Bob-omb
Yes!
scene. How it's like a little wind-up toy. Mario winds it up, and then it moves, and then it falls through the sewers, and then it's just, like, moving all across town, and then it goes back up onto the ceiling underneath Koopa, and then explodes, like...
That one dude, boom, and he like slams on his brakes. We're like, he knows.
His tire like almost runs over the bomb, and he stops just in time. Like that scene, like I've never met anybody that didn't find that scene hilarious.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like the thing too is there's a level of like slapstick to it that I was like, yes, I do enjoy that. Like, and what kind of surprised me was how like. For as much of the movie is like, oh, here's Bob Hoskins and John Leguizamo and all these wacky scenarios out of their element and getting slapped around and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I was kind of surprised at how much they actually did. Like specifically Bob Hoskins, like, Mario was a hero in that, like, you know, like, there's that one scene where there's all of those kidnapped girls, and he's up, like, up in the vents, and then he, like, drops down and, like, actually fights one of them and does the whole, like, bed slide thing through the frozen pipes. Like...
That's right, there's a... There's a scene
90s.
Where Mario and the girls are, like, riding on a mattress, like, sliding down a tube... And then the Goombas are riding on the mattress down, chasing after them.
Mm-hmm. But like specifically, it was like right before that. Like he like grabs like the light fixture, like swings across it and kicks somebody. I was like, "Dang, you go, Mario!" Like, and there's like a bunch of scenes like that in the movie where like Mario was like, "No, I'm gonna get in there and I'm gonna fight." And I'm like, "What the heck? This is so cool!" Like.
Mario and Luigi's relationship in that one is very interesting because they're not actually brothers in that one. It's more of a father-son dynamic in that, like, Mario kind of, like, adopted Luigi, who's, like, dramatically younger than him.
Well, so, from what I understood is that, like, Luigi is a younger brother, but, like, they never knew their parents, and so he's like, yeah, Mario basically raised me. Like... There's the joke, like, he's basically my mom, and he's like, hey, and it's like, my father.
Yeah. We'll have a bit more to say about the Mario and Luigi dynamic in the other movie, but I just wanted to bring it up here because it's such a weird take.
Really, it is.
it was so strange to do it this way when it's so just like they're brothers. It's in the name, Super Mario Bros. And they gave him this very like complicated setup, and probably it was just because of like who they wanted to play Luigi, and they're like, oh, these guys don't look like brothers. Better retcon this, like something like that. But it's, you know, it's a fun, flawed movie. It mostly leans on like campy and like so bad that it's good. I would not say that it's like an enjoyably like perfect cinematic masterpiece in the slightest, but like, I don't know, as somebody who kind of has an appreciation for like not perfect movies, this is a fun movie.
It's funny too because they're like, oh, these special effects are so good.
I am immediately, if we're talking special effects, I am immediately thinking of the scene Mario dithers through the wall into the portal, and then it's just his body tumbling in this like mushroom hell.
This, with the old Super Mario Brothers Super Show, Lou Albano just, you go to hell before you die. Like, that is what I think of when he says that.
Mm-hmm. If you want to talk about a great like Mario adaptation, Super Mario Brothers Super Show is it. Like, both like the live action sitcom skits and like the cartoon, just like A+ all around.
Oh man. But yeah, there were so many just like bits that genuinely made me laugh. Like the bit where they chain Mario and Luigi up, and then you see like the the laser sights, and then it just takes their mug shots.
Oh yeah, how they think it's gonna like shoot them, and they're like, ah, and then it just click takes a picture.
Like, that was funny. That was so funny.
That's what I'm saying though. Like most of like modern cinema these days, like, and not just live action stuff, but cartoons even, don't do visual gags as often. It's like all dialogue dependent for comedy. And it's like, you guys are forgetting one of the best like mediums for telling jokes.
Oh yeah. But yeah, so we sat down and we watched that movie, and I was just like, huh, there was a lot there that, like, a lot more there that I liked than I thought I would.
Yeah, would you be able to like rate it on a scale of anything, like a number scale or a letter grade or whatever? Like,
I don't think I could, because like it's so weirdly specific what I liked and didn't like.
Yeah, because I feel like as a Mario adaptation, it's like an F, maybe generously a D-.
I would
but
say,
then like just as a film, it kind of slides more into like B- territory for me.
Yeah, like it's not Dragon Ball Evolution's levels of bad.
Right.
We're just like, you're like, okay, you wanted to tell an entirely different story, and then you just slap this coat of paint over it. Like, there's Mario elements in there, even more so like than what I remember. Because I was like, I remembered the Bob-omb, and I was like, yeah, that is like the only semblance of Mario in there. And I was like, oh, there's like pieces of Mario in there. Like,
well, and it was like, even if they got the details wrong, they were still trying to get stuff like Spike and Iggy.
Yup.
Even if they're nothing like their counterparts, they are characters. Same with like Big Bertha, who is not a giant fish in that movie. There's like the Goombas, there's Yoshi, there's like the mushrooms. They get those like super jump boots so they can do the super high jumps and everything, which is kind of a Mario-y thing.
Yeah, well, and even like, because again, like I mentioned it earlier, but like the slide thing, because like they go through the pipes, and I'm like,
yeah, that's a pipe.
Technically, that's Mario. It's a weird take on it.
But he's going through a pipe.
But, like, yeah, you know, like, it is technically technically Mario.
Koopa does turn into a big dinosaur for 10 seconds before they
ran out of an animation budget. Like, all right, all these great special effects, we kind of blew the whole budget on that bomb scene.
We spent the whole budget on that nasty, like, meatball that they used for the de-evolved king.
Oh, that's right.
That thing was
or
so
the
disgusting.
skeleton hitting the wall.
The lady that gets electrocuted and flies into the wall and turns into a skeleton.
That
was straight out of Home Alone. Like,
that made me laugh way harder than it should have.
Yeah. Yoshi was kind of cute.
Yeah, like, except for the bit where he tried to eat the one lady who knifed him.
That's right, he tries to eat a human woman and she stabs a knife into him. I distinctly
remember, because one of my sister-in-laws was like, that is actually terrifying. What is... I hate this. And I'm just like... It's like, why did Yoshi's trying to eat her? And we're like, I just took a nibble. You're like, he tried to eat her. And I was like, well, I mean, she tried to kill Daisy. So, like, you know.
I mean, like... He's just gonna bite her foot. He couldn't, like, actually eat her, but...
Not in one bite.
No.
He's not a real Yoshi. What did you say? You're like, oh, she would have just become an egg.
Well, I said, oh, he'll just swallow her whole and then she'll turn into an egg. And I'm like, well, but this hasn't been following game canon, so maybe not.
Oh, gosh, do you remember the opening scene of, like, the egg in the church? And then
that's
the baby hatches.
That's the other goofy detail, because it's about dinosaur people. And Daisy is the princess of the dinosaur people. So, like, there's, like, an egg, and you're like, and that's gonna be Yoshi, right? And then the egg hatches into a human baby. And that's the plot, is that because Daisy is a dinosaur person, she hatched from an egg. Just... Oh... Forgot about that. Maybe this isn't a B- movie.
No, like, again, there's a lot of decisions that this movie takes. You know what's funny, too, is because it's Daisy, there's this part of my brain that I was like, is this Sarasa Land? Like...
But it's the Mushroom Kingdom.
I know, they say the Mushroom Kingdom, but let's be real. As weird and messed up as it is...
Mm-hmm. But then that's the thing, too, is, like, why does it get the name Mushroom Kingdom if Koopa takes over, turns the king into a mushroom, and then his fungus spreads throughout the land? Like, was it not the Mushroom Kingdom before Koopa took over?
They probably didn't think about it that much. Just like how they didn't think about the fact that the king turns back to normal for no reason once Koopa's defeated.
And his first thought upon turning back to normal is, I love those plumbers.
Love those plumbers.
Not even, thinking about his own daughter or, like, gratitude that he has his life back. It's just, I love those plumbers.
How did he know? I mean, I guess the sentient fungus around the entire world. I don't know.
Well, he was conscious the entire time. He just wasn't able to speak. But it's like, why would that be the first thing that you say? How would you know it was them? How would you not just be like, whoa, I turned back? That's weird.
Why would a lot of things in this movie be what it is?
It's such a strange movie.
It really is. But and the funny thing, too, is that, like, this was our point of reference for, like, a video game movie for years!
Yep.
Like, when you just think, like, the Mario movie, this is what you thought of.
This was the only, like, Nintendo movie, pretty much. There was stuff like The Wizard that had Nintendo elements. But, like, this was the only Nintendo-adapted movie, basically at all, and it was so bad that Nintendo swore off making movies for, like, 30 years.
I know, it's so crazy.
Oh. So it's very weird that they decided to come back to cinema. but a little bit more like experience, and probably like I bet you the whole time that Miyamoto was working with Illumination on this new movie, he was aware of like how wrong the first movie went, and was like, I'm going to keep a tight fist on this thing, and I'm going to make sure it is faithful to the games.
Absolutely. Which brings us, I guess, to the other movie that we watched.
Yep. Tell me, sir, what did you think of the Super Mario Bros. Movie?
I'm still in this weird thing. I went in with such low expectations because we watched the trailer.
We watched the for those that are interested, we have our like first impressions.
That's right.
Or at least what we could salvage.
Yeah,
of
what
the
we
recording.
could salvage of it. And like, it's so weird to me because like watching that trailer and how the trailer presented the movie. When we finished watching the 93 Mario, the live action Mario movie, I was in this weird spot where I was like, I think I like the story better in this, like, but that this is going to be a better like adaptation. I don't know. Like I had such weird feelings going in, and so I was like prepared to like the look of the movie, but then just not like the movie at all, and then was pleasantly surprised by how much I enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's I think the Sonic movie prepared me very well for this experience.
You know what's funny is the same thing happened to me with like the Sonic movie. Both Sonic movies, where I was like,
both Sonic movies, yeah.
I went in with like very low expectations from the movie, and so it was like pleasantly surprised that like, hey, somebody who actually loves this stuff actually put in the effort to make it good.
Yep.
And there's like, it's funny though, because like there's a lot of very like specific things that I liked about the movie, but then there were like a lot of specific things I didn't like, and so it just left me with this weird like, overall I liked it, but there's a lot of specifics in there that I'm like, there's like 30 asterisks after that I gotta like comment on.
Right. It's honestly, just the way that I felt walking out of the theater, like, there's just a big old, like, pandering reference fest, and I loved every second of it.
Oh,
because,
yeah.
Like, I don't know, like, pandering to an audience is like, okay, you can be kind of cheap about that, but it was pandering to something that I love. So
this movie knew its target audience. One of the funniest things is like we were sitting there for like watching the trailers at the beginning, and like I don't know if you remember this, we got like I don't remember, some children movie. It was like one of the like a Trolls movie or something. I was just oh boy, how many of these we're gonna get? And then the immediate next trailer was like for one of the Fast and Furious movies. And I was like, they understand that there are two very distinct demographics that this movie is marketed towards. And I just thought that was super funny.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man. The one thing I want to say right out of the gate about this Mario movie experience that we had, much like our review of the OG Mario movie, I was kind of surprised by the humor.
Yeah.
Like, I really, like, purely on the grounds that it was Illumination Studios, I expected it to not be funny. There's actually, like, a fair amount of stuff that I found funny about this movie.
It's fascinating, too, because, like... I went in expecting to hate a lot of the jokes in this movie, because I was, like, watching the trailers, I was just like, I hate all of these jokes. Like, all of these jokes just are, like, everything I hate. And because the thing, too, for me is I'm a bit of a snob when it comes to children's entertainment.
Right.
Because, well, and part of that is because, like, there's a point in my life where I was like, I want to write children's stories. And my favorite children's stories are the ones that respect children's intelligence. Like,
yeah.
There's, like, the really dumb stuff that, like, my son is currently obsessed with. because it's colors and movement. And, like, and people think, that's all you need to keep them entertained. And so, like, we don't have to try on, like, this storytelling.
People are going to wildly misinterpret me if I rush into the defense of Blue's Clues.
Oh, no. No, there's a reason my son is actually... Well, and here's the thing, too. We're having my son watch, like, the OG Blue's Clues. Because, like, the newer stuff, I'm like, I'm not a fan of this. The old stuff is, like, actually genuinely good.
It's pure nostalgia, though.
Yes.
Like, if you show, like, a kid that actually is the age, like, both the old and new, like, he's probably gonna walk away liking the new Blue's Clues better. Like,
my son likes both because, again, right now, he's gonna be almost 2, and, like...
Yeah.
You know, it's colors and it's movement. And I'm like...
He hasn't learned how to critique a film yet.
well, and yeah... And he's not to the point where, like, a storyline will actually engage him, because he doesn't care about that right now. But what I'm referring to is, like slightly older children.
Yeah.
You know, like... Because I think about, like, some of the cartoons...
I just really wanted to rush to the defense of Blue's Clues.
No.
As a medium specifically for young children, I think it's brilliant, but...
Oh, yes. No, absolutely. What I'm referring to is, like, the slightly older demographic. I feel like a lot of stuff doesn't respect their intelligence.
Mm-hmm. Like, ages, like, 7 to 10.
Yes.
That age demographic is very disrespected in terms of, like, writing for shows.
Uh-huh. Well, and even just, like, I think about a lot of the cartoons and shows that we grew up with.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, I don't know, there was no, like, filter on, like, a lot of that stuff. Like there were very adult jokes in a lot of those shows that just completely went over our heads. But even more so, like stuff that, like, addresses difficult topics from the perspective of a child. That, like, you know, it's like, hey, let's talk about this. Because, like, one of the ones that I will always point back to of, like, really good writing is the IDW Sonic comics.
Yeah.
In that, like, it is...
There it is, folks. There's their Sonic time.
Yeah, I know. It's me. Did you expect any less? Even in Mario, I gotta talk about Sonic.
Right.
But, like, specifically... And a lot of people forget that, like, this is a comic book aimed at young children. And so people get up in arms when, like, oh, this is stupid and childish. And we're like, well, yeah, because it's for children.
It's for kids, you bozo.
But, in that same vein, though, they address some very dark themes and very serious, like, topics that are, you know, like the Metal Virus saga. I know everyone complained because it lasted forever because COVID happened and it slowed production down. Go figure. But, like, genuinely, it addressed this question of, like, Sonic is taking this moral high ground of, like, is it right to kill somebody? You know, like let somebody go. You know, or is it right to take a life? And they don't give a clear answer because it's not that easy of an answer to give. And I love it because I'm like, dang, this is a cool subject to kind of talk about with kids this age.
Everything that I'm taking away from what you're talking about here just completely reinforces my belief that you need to see Puss in Boots: The Last Wish.
We're going to.
Yeah. And that is, like, everybody at home listening to this, like, if you take away nothing else from our Mario movie discussion of both movies, and, like, should I see both movies, like, whether or not, what are the pros and cons, the biggest takeaway is go see Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, because it's an amazing movie. But
Yeah, sorry. That was
Are we ready to talk about Mario?
Yeah, sorry. So that was a whole big tangent to be like, because of that, I was like braced to just like hate this movie. For it
You
to
were
just
expecting
be
it to be trash.
to just be dumb fart jokes, and like right at the beginning I saw a minion and I like felt my soul leave my body. like
The natural response to seeing a minion.
One of my favorite vines is I think it's Griffin McElroy. And like they're like in a house or whatever, like, and then he goes to one room, opens like a closet door, and sees just a minion like plushie just sitting on up there, and then he just shuts the door and turns and goes to like the rest of the room. It's like, we have to leave now. Yeah. And like that was my response seeing it, was I was like, I saw that and I was just like,
we have to walk out of this theater.
Oh, I don't want to be. Why did I pay money for this ticket? Like, and I was expecting the whole movie to be that, and then I was just surprised by like, oh wow, there's some like genuine good character in this, good acting, like, gorgeous animation. There's a couple of, like, again, asterisks by, like, the animation that I'm like, I don't like this.
Yeah.
Most notably, it was the thing I said when we watched the trailer that I was afraid of. And worst of all, it was Peach was, like, the biggest offender. Is the way they would animate her face on some bits. Just... Ooh, I didn't like it.
Yeah, I will say I wasn't bothered too much by it.
No, it wasn't horrible, and it was only like certain shots where I was like, ooh, I didn't like that one.
All right. I guess maybe the perspective that I was looking at it from is that, like, it makes sense that they would change the characters' faces because they want them to be really expressive and lifelike and very human, and the very, like, static action figure-y way that, like, the Mario characters' normal designs look, like, maybe barring, like, Mario Odyssey, because the technology is actually there to get the characters to be a little more expressive, but, like, even then, like, Peach has just, like, never been expressive.
She's
in,
never
like, mainline
emoted.
Mario. She is a Barbie doll. Like, one facial expression regardless of emotion. Like,
hearing you say it, I'm like, oh no, he's right.
So when we get to this movie and Peach looks like a normal human girl, like, yes, it's different, but in my opinion, it works.
Yeah.
So
for me, what it is, because like for the most part, I actually really liked her.
Yeah.
There were certain scenes where, like, because they kind of do a little bit of squash and stretch on the animation. Yeah. And her face kind of stretches in like ways that I'm like,
yeah.
I would have given that a second pass, like, fix some things, because that didn't look good. You know, and maybe it's because I'm cursed because I'm in the Sonic fandom, and anytime there's a smear frame, we gotta...
You gotta pause it.
We gotta pause it and turn it into 4K. A
meme. No, that's totally fair.
So, like, I noticed those things. I noticed those things. And so, like, there were a couple of them. Like, it wasn't the whole movie. There were just, like, one or two scenes where, like, she'd be talking and she would, like, emote, like, while moving, and her face would just move in this very, like, uncanny way that I was like, nope, hit the abort, we're done.
Okay. Like I said, it was never a problem for me, but I'll take your word for it.
Yeah. But, like, barring those one or two things, this movie was, like, stunning.
Yeah, I'm like, can we get to the part where I just, like, praise the movie forever?
Yeah, go ahead. Because, like, anything you're gonna have to say about it, I will probably agree. Just go for it. I've been talking.
Attention to detail. Mm-hmm. There is so much about, like, the world and the characters and the designs and everything that makes it feel so living and breathing and exciting. Like... And I almost expected, like, oh, Mario and Luigi are in the real world. Oh, I should also put up a spoiler warning for this movie in case people are planning on seeing it.
Mm-hmm.
We'll put a thing at the start that just says like spoilers, like this one's bad but it's entertaining. This one's good, but like we have some comments on it.
Yeah.
Whatever, something like that. But like I expected like the real world, like Brooklyn, to be like mundane and not interesting, and then they go to the Mushroom Kingdom and then things get fantastical. But like even the Brooklyn part of the world was like really fun.
Oh yeah, there were loads of Easter eggs. Like that was the thing too, was I was like, oh dang, like I guess Miyamoto does have access to all of this, so like yeah, he's cool to just put it in there, and
I loved how it was like, it was not one specific like Mario continuity. It was the reference to like every Mario thing to exist. It was referenced in some way.
not even just like Mario, but like Mario's playing Kid Icarus.
Right, there's just like Nintendo stuff. Like Mario is like, because dad scolds him or whatever, and he's all upset and he doesn't want to eat dinner, so he goes upstairs in his room and plays Kid Icarus.
And like, I think the best part about this is because it's officially Nintendo. Like, it's not even like, oh hey, that like kind of looks like Kid Icarus, haha. Like, no, it's like one-to-one the game, the soundtrack. There's an R-wing on top of jingle. Mario's like TV, which I'm so glad that Star Fox isn't totally dead.
You know what the best one was? Like, I wouldn't even call it an Easter egg because it's so right in your face, but the fact that like Luigi's ringtone on his phone was the GameCube startup.
Yes, that was so good.
Oh, that was so, like, I expected to go into the movie just thinking, like, oh, it's going to be, like, a lot of, like, oh, that's a fun reference. Oh, that's a fun reference. Anyway, here's the bad humor. Like, my face hurt at the end of watching that movie because I was grinning at every single reference. Because it was not just, like, hey, remember this Nintendo thing? It was, like, funny. Like, they applied everything in such fun ways. Again, like, it's not just like, oh, there's like a Kid Icarus like billboard in the background. It's Mario literally playing the game, and he's frustrated and he's losing at the game because it's a hard game.
But then there were also like Duck Hunt billboards and like
right
in the background. Like you got the best of both.
There was a lot of class to the references.
Yes.
When it was like not like supposed to just be like a subtle thing, it wasn't just like a remember this game? It's like they would go all in on it. I think for me, like the scene that best captured that like all in energy that the movie had, in my opinion, was the Mario Kart scene.
Yeah.
That was the one, like, okay, so me being like the snob like racing game aficionado that I am, and like super like hyper fixated on kart racers, the scene when they got to the like the garage and it started playing the menu music from Mario Kart 8, that was such a specific niche reference.
Oh my goodness.
And like the orchestra rendition of like that theme was done so well, like I actually started tearing up over the characters walking in a garage.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
They hadn't even got to, like, the part where they were building the carts and stuff. Just them being in the garage, I heard the music and started tearing up. Like...
Well, and even, like, because you were on one side, my wife was on the other, and, like, we've been playing Mario Kart together, like, a whole bunch. And, like, you get to, like, the select wheel, and she's, like, elbowing me, like, do you see this? This is amazing!
It's literally like the wheel where you select like, okay, here's your cart, there's your wheels, there's your glider.
Yep.
It's exactly like Mario Kart, and then they just go on a big race. I wish they hadn't spoiled that Rainbow Road.
I know.
I wish I hadn't seen any of the trailers pretty much.
Even like that first trailer, I needed to see the first trailer to gauge if I was even going to go.
Right.
And see the movie. But then, like, I really wish I didn't watch any of the other trailers.
Any of the other ones.
Because, like, so many of the big moments that I was like, I would have enjoyed this more if I didn't already know it was coming.
Yeah.
And like, because of that, it made a lot of the, like, I was able to predict a lot of the movie. Like, because I was like, oh, this is where the Mario Kart thing's gonna be. Okay. Moving on. But, like... yeah, there were... The other thing, too, that surprised me about this movie was how much I liked a lot of the actors.
Yeah, like the acting was good, and like this will kind of lead into something that I want to say, but we can talk about the actors first. But just the characters in general, how they were written and how they were portrayed by the actors, I loved it.
Because, and here's the thing, too. I still stand by it, even after having seen this movie and how good it was. I still think it should have been Charles Martinet.
Right.
And, like, I've heard people be like, yeah, well, that would have gotten annoying for the... And I was like, no, it wouldn't have. Like,
no, it wouldn't have.
He absolutely deserved that role. Mm-hmm. But I will say, the movie trailers did a huge disservice to Chris Pratt's performance.
Yeah.
And I think part of it, too... I know you mentioned this to me, but, like, I was surprised by how much I liked Mario in this movie.
Yeah.
Like, I was prepared to have Mario be my least favorite character in this movie.
Same.
And so it was like a slap in the face when I realized that, like, wow, I love Mario. Wow, I want to root for him. This is so cool. 'Cause one of the things, too, like, bad marketing is such a, like, people need to not do this.
Yeah.
Like, it's funny because I saw a lot of this, actually. People were talking about how so much of the trailers was just Mario getting his butt kicked.
Yeah.
And, like, a lot of the slapstick around him. And so I was like, this is going to be the whole movie. And that's the thing, because when we watched the 93 one, I was surprised by Bob Hoskins, like, oh hey, Mario does a lot of cool stuff in this, like, despite all the slapstick.
Actually, like, getting his hands in and being a hero.
Yeah. And so I was, like, prepared for just this to be, like, what was the movie's runtime? You know, like, 90 minutes?
Yeah, I'm not sure, but somewhere.
Yeah, you know, just 90 minutes of Mario getting the snot kicked out of him and just being a failure because, oh, it's a weird world and nobody knows, like, anything. Like, and for that to just be, like, the punchline of the movie and for it to not be any deeper than that. And so I was surprised, like, in that first scene where he and Luigi are running to, like, their first appointment. And I was like, oh dang, the Mario Bros got moves! Like, you know, and obviously, like, they kind of explained it away a little bit with the power-ups. And there was a lot of Mario getting kicked around.
Right, there was a lot of humor at Mario's expense.
Uh-huh. But, like... The thing that I noticed in the movie that they highlighted really well is Mario's tenacity, his ability to not give up.
Yes.
And that became my favorite aspect about the characters. I'm like, dang, that's a character I can root for. And it's... Go ahead.
Can I just say this, like, right out of the gate? This is kind of more like a thing you drop towards the end of the podcast to really, like, drive the interaction, but I'll just go ahead and say this now. I, like, really, really thinking about it, I think Mario was my favorite character in the movie.
I think so, too.
I was expecting to really, like, not even like him at all. Like, Mario and DK were the two characters that I expected to be horrible. Part of it was the casting decision. Mm-hmm. And, like, notwithstanding, I still think they could have done better than Chris Pratt as Mario. Like, there are so many actors out there, it would not be hard to find one that is a better fit for the character.
Mm-hmm.
But working with what we got, and this is the thing, people still meme on Chris Pratt just because he is clearly just the celebrity pick and not, and, like, accurate to the character pick. He's still a great actor.
Oh, yeah.
And his performance as Mario in this movie, again, like you said, the trailers didn't lead us to believe this, but his acting in this movie was great, and he really sold me on the character. And it's like you said, just that determination, and it's the fact that so many characters remark this because they see Mario and it's like, oh, he's a tiny guy. He's just some silly little guy with a mustache. Like, what's he gonna do? And then the characters are constantly remarking to him throughout the film, like, you don't give up. Like, you are always getting back up and very determined to keep going, even when the odds are stacked so against you. And I love characters like that. I love characters that are, you know, underdogs that are just determined to give it their all.
Mm-hmm. And, like, not only that, but, like, that determination is such a... To keep getting up and trying again is, like, the embodiment of the video game.
Yeah.
Like, you play, and if you fail, you start over, and you do it better the second time. And, like, you keep going until you do it. And it was such a, like, cool translation of, like, the video game into a narrative.
I wouldn't be surprised if that concept was the direct inspiration for Mario's character in this, because that really does capture, like, especially with, because I'm bad at retro games, those older Mario games that are a little bit tougher. And
so, I was so surprised with how much I liked Mario.
Mm-hmm. And there is no such thing as a Super Mario Bros. Movie with just Mario, because we got Luigi too, and I really need us to talk about this, because this is what we talk about on this darn podcast in every episode, how important brother relationships are.
Gosh, I have so many conflicting feelings, because on the one hand, we got robbed of our Luigi screen time in this movie.
Yeah.
Like, like, there's, like, a good chunk of this movie without Luigi.
Yeah.
And the worst part was my least favorite joke in the movie was the Luma. Not because it wasn't funny, but because I felt like the joke went on for too long. And go figure, it was the joke used in the trailer. And, and, like, the thing was, it was funny enough in the trailer, because it was, like, just a short little, like, snippet of it, and then it just kept going.
It just kept going,
yeah. And I was like, I get the joke, this kid's morbid, and making Luigi feel bad, but, like, come on! Like, what about Luigi?
Right. It is interesting, because for once we got, Luigi is the person that needs rescuing, and so we get more of Peach in the spotlight, which in any video game, I think people would be fine with this, and would just be like, oh, that's an interesting twist, and now we get more of Peach being in the spotlight and doing cool things. The problem was that now that it's a version of Mario where everyone is well-written and likable, that means we get less well-written, likable Luigi, which is... which is unfortunate. But again, it's not the quantity of the Luigi.
Yes.
It's the quality of the Luigi.
Oh.
And this is, like, some of the most quality Luigi content we've ever gotten in the franchise.
I was so happy with how they wrote Luigi. Like... Mm-hmm. It specifically, the part that drove it home for me was that bit where Mario's dad was kind of telling him, like, you're dragging your brother down. Like, that hurt me on a personal level because of, like, my relationship with you. And then just Luigi's, you're not dragging me down. Like, I'm with you, you know. And gosh, that was the thing too. I said this in our previous, when we watched the trailer.
Mm-hmm.
But I was like, if this movie, for whatever stupid reason, has a third act, oh, we gotta have drama, we gotta have Mario and Luigi fight and argue, and Luigi be like, you can't go up against that guy, he's bigger than you, and then runs away and the Mario Bros fight, and then Luigi comes back later and be like, I was wrong. Like, I would have given the movie 0 stars for them to just, like, argue for no reason. And instead of that, we got some of... They're, like, genuine brothers who love and care about each other.
It's so, like, I am so happy that we are now living in this age where writers just want to write healthy sibling dynamics into their
Yes.
stories. Because it's so, I almost wonder if that, like, influenced why, like, siblings from our generation would, like, bicker and be at each other's throats so much. Because, like, everywhere in media, it was what they were depicting all the siblings doing. And so, like, for us who actually just grew up, you know, like, getting along and appreciating each other's company, it was always so weird seeing that. Nowadays, we're starting to see more of, like, siblings in shows that genuinely care about each other and don't want to be spiteful purely because they're siblings.
I know. It's so, like, it was so... I loved it so much. Because, yeah, like, that never made sense to me because we got along so well.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, I would see it, like, in TV and in, like, my friends and how they'd interact with their siblings. And I was like, I don't freaking get this. Like, my brother's the coolest guy I know. Why would I want to fight with him? And then, like... So, like, to see this shift is so validating for me. Because I'm like, yes, this is how you write, like, a good relationship. And, like, it just makes you want to root for these brothers more. And
I want to talk about specifically just, like, how much they have each other's back in this movie. Because, like, from Mario's perspective, you get things of, like, you know, like, Luigi is in immense peril being captive in the Darklands. And Mario is so, like, everyone is telling him to give up and, like, to quit, or that he can't do it because he's not enough. Literally, like, rushing into battle against impossible odds because he's like, this is my brother. I will not give up on him. And, like, just that, like, oh, that is so beautiful. But then you get Luigi. There's the scene where, like, Bowser has him and he's, like, plucking the hairs off his mustache. Like, Luigi is fully aware that this massive creature could just, like, snap his neck right there, just, like, crush him in his hand, and he'd die instantly. And Bowser's sitting there, like, trying to, you know, pick him for information, and Luigi's trying to cover for him. And you'd think, like, Luigi is the less brave of the two brothers. He's a bit more, you know, cowardly, a bit more anxious. And so he'd be completely justified in just lying to, you know, save his own butt, buy him a few more seconds. But, like, he won't even lie. Bowser's like, do princesses find your brother attractive? And he responds with, only the ones with good taste. Like, he is at risk of getting his mustache, like, just ripped clean off his face, and he still is willing to stand
He's, like,
up
objective
for Mario.
enough to be like, look, if somebody likes my brother, they've got good taste.
And he's not ashamed of it. Like, he would pretty much, like, again, like, the whole thing is just like he's plucking his mustache or whatever, but, like, he would let this guy kill him just so he could glow up Mario. Like,
Scared out of his mind,
is such a good brother.
He's so brave and cool. Gosh, I freaking love. Like I said, we were robbed of our Luigi spotlight, but what we did get was gold.
It was perfect. And then, of course, just the final scene with the star.
Well, even
I was so ready for Luigi to just be a cheerleader with Peach while Mario does all the work at the end. And it was Mario and Luigi. Like, the bros in that title was earned for this movie.
And I love that, like Luigi earned his spot in that moment. He deserved more than that, but, like, that it was the fact that Mario was not going to make it and Luigi saved him and then let him know, like when we're together, we're invincible. Like, and that's when it all clicked for me right there, because Mario said that in the beginning. I'm just like, oh my goodness, this is so good. This is just good siblings.
I think, like, the best thing I'd seen in the entire movie was the two of them grabbing onto Bowser's tail together and swinging him and throwing him.
There was this part of me that knew that was how it was going to go down. But, like... and that's the thing. Watching Mario and Luigi, like, powered up work together... Because Because, like, we saw it in the beginning, like, that whole sequence where, like, Mario's, like, opening a pathway for Luigi to get through, and they're working together. But, like, watching Mario and Luigi just beat the crap out of Bowser gave me so much of, like, the RPG vibes. Like, the Mario and Luigi RPG. Like, I was waiting for them to pull, like, specific moves from that, and I was like, oh, they don't have the hammers. That's probably the only reason they didn't.
Probably.
Oh my!
Can I just say, like, the action in this movie? That's another thing that defied my expectations, because I was expecting it to just be like video gamey and mostly like airing on the side of comedy, and there is a lot of like the references and stuff that are played for comedy, but there's also just like a lot of really good action in this movie.
Yeah. Just well choreographed fights that move at like ridiculous speeds.
I think like two that like really come to mind for me, obviously, like for both of us, nothing would top the Mario and Luigi like superstar thing at the end. But like two other scenes that like I really got a kick out of was Mario in the cat suit fighting DK. Like that just like appealed to everything that I love about Mario stuff, as well as the Tanuki suit thing when the giant
the bullet bill,
the bullet bill, it's the bigger one, I forget what it's called,
the bonsai bill,
probably,
but yeah,
something like that.
Anyway.
But the big scary thing chasing Mario, and how he's like flying all around the kingdom, and there's all of these like action shots of him like moving really fast trying to outrun this thing. Like,
yeah, I will say,
so well animated.
I will say there was a bit of me like spinning your tails, huh? Sonic did it first.
Now hold on. Are you complaining about Mario being derivative of Sonic work?
No.
Because I was absolutely thinking of Tails the entire time that I was watching it, and that's probably why I enjoyed it.
Honestly, it wasn't that bad. I just thought it was kind of funny. What I really love, too, is, like, the little attentions to details, like when Mario would run and pick up speed, and then he'd put his arms out.
Yeah, he'd do the little run thing from, like, Super Mario Bros. 3.
Like, that made me smile. I was like, oh, that's just a nice little detail right there.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, man, yeah. I kind of want to, like, because I'm like, there's still a lot of characters we still haven't even talked about.
Are we going to talk about every character?
There's a couple. Just, I want to go a little faster than that, but, like, those two in particular took a lot of time. I wanted to talk about Peach, because, once again, she kind of defied my expectations.
Mm-hmm. This, like, so we're talking about, like, expectations, right? You know what I expected for Peach going off of, like, just, like, the first trailer that we saw Peach in?
Mm-hmm.
I expected, like, a hard shift away from, like, what Peach was like from the video games.
Mm-hmm.
For the sake of, like, oh, we want to, like, have a female lead who's empowering to girls or whatever, and they go the direction of, like, girl boss. Like, super bossy, whiny, like, not willing to cooperate with anybody, trying to, you know, carry the whole world on her shoulders or whatever. I'm so glad that's not what we got.
No, yeah, like
she was cool. She was capable. She was as awesome as the rest of the team, and like even was like, you know, to give you a sense of like her skill level, like she was showing up Mario at the beginning of the movie, and then Mario kind of had to like grow into his role. But she was also just, like, extremely, like, compassionate and concerned with the well-being of her subjects and, like, not a self-centered brat. And so that made me really happy.
The thing, too, was, like, while it is very rushed and very simple, I appreciated the romance between Mario and Peach. And, like, they got a lot of moments together, and, like, they had chemistry, actually. Like,
I like that they had chemistry, but like they didn't have to go anywhere with it.
Yeah.
They would just let the moments be what they are. Like Mario and Peach like have their fun together, And then there's, like the scene where DK starts like making fun of Mario. He's like, oh, is that your flirting? That sucked. Like all of that and stuff. But then like the whole point of it wasn't about getting the girl at the end.
Yeah.
They were just, like the healthiest model for a romantic relationship is basically just like being best friends.
Yep.
So like, and they were just really good friends, and so that made it more believable than them trying to make a romance out of it.
Yeah, you mentioned like the girl boss thing, and like it's such a tricky thing to write because like I went in with the expectation of like this is how they're gonna write her because they want to shift away and be empowering. And the best way to write a strong, cool female character is to just let that be a part of who they are, not, like, force it and put it front and center and point and draw attention to it. And, like, there was some of that, but it was, like, it felt very natural. Like, yeah. This is who this person is. Because, like that big thing of, like how Peach was showing Mario up on the obstacle course. And she was like, nobody gets it their first try or whatever. Like, she was, like, very sweet.
Mm-hmm.
And, like...
And even, like, the joke about, like, it took me so many tries, and then Mario's like, you got it on your first try, didn't you? And she was like, yeah.
But did it help make you feel better? And he's like, yeah, a little bit. Like,
yeah, it's helping a little bit. Like,
and that's the thing, too. I think that's how you write a cool female character. Is that, like, they can do all these cool, awesome things, but it isn't their defining characteristic. Like, Peach has a very sweet and compassionate side to her.
Well, and that's, like, the thing about writing female characters is that they don't have to be a specific thing to be a good character.
Yeah.
Like, definitely there's stuff that can make them more or less likable, but, like... being a girl isn't a personality trait. It's just a physical aspect of you, but your personality could be anything. And Peach in this was so varied in that she had like versatile skills, was compassionate, but was like firm and would stand her ground. It's like, like a real human being.
She felt like a layered human being, not like a stereotype.
And again, like, we only make such a big deal out of this because that's what Peach has been for so many games. And it's like refreshing. Welcome to Tradin Faves, where we pretend not to be a feminist podcast and then we discuss the portrayal of women in media for hours on end. Like, how many times have we done this now? We've talked about Samus, we've talked about Peach, we've talked about Amy, like...
I mean, I drink my respect women juice, so like,
it is
know
pretty
up
good
front
juice.
what you're getting into. No, but like it was one of those things. I was prepared for it to be a weak point to the film, and then it was so good, especially because like the other thing too about Peach was Bowser and her dynamic. Which Bowser.
And part of why I also praise the fact that like any sort of even kind of a romance between Mario and Peach is super understated. It makes Bowser even better because now he's a massive creepazoid, which works so well.
It's so like yeah, it's the fact that it's not like, oh, I gotta get the girl at the end. Like Mario and Peach are just kind of friends with that like underlying romantic.
Like there could be more if their relationship developed enough. But then Bowser is just like full on
trying so hard, and that makes it like the fact that Mario and Peach's relationship is so natural and subtle versus Bowser's try-hard attitude makes it even funnier.
Who is so, like, she has no reason to like him. She has all the reasons in the world to dislike him. And he is just so thirsty. It is so funny.
It's so good. And that's the thing, too, is, like, I was like, okay, so Bowser's just motivated by power, but again, based on the trailer. And it's like, No, he wants to marry Peach because he's a big, like, it's so silly. But that's what makes it great, is that it's silly. And that's the thing too that's great, is how Bowser can be so silly but so threatening in this movie. They struck an amazing balance.
Well, and that is, like, what everybody likes about Bowser in, his RPG appearances and stuff, and many of, like, the spin-off things, is how balanced he is between being a comedic character and being a menacing character. This honestly just felt like they took, and like we'll get to this. You haven't played this one yet, but like it feels like they took the concept of what they were doing with Mario Odyssey's Bowser, and then just ran so much farther with it.
Oh yeah, and that's Jack Black killed it in that, which we all knew he would.
Jack Black Bowser. That was the thing. Like, to talk more about defied expectations, I was expecting Bowser to be my favorite character. And so that just goes to show how, like, even more surprised I am at Mario.
Uh-huh.
But, like, the only thing that I was certain about going into this one was that Jack Black would be an amazing Bowser. And he absolutely was.
Uh-huh. There is, because, like, the timbre of Jack Black's voice, like, specifically, my headcanon Bowser is in a much deeper register.
Yes.
But personality and acting wise, like, spot on.
100%, yeah.
Spot on! He was so good. And so it's just one of those, like, and like, he definitely tried to play the character in that lower register, but also still, like, make the character his... I loved it. I loved it so much.
Should we sing it? Peaches, 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 peaches.
And I wanted to say there was like a specific bit was like his dynamic with Kamek was so good too. Like it's, what's funny, again bringing it back to Sonic, it's kind of the Eggman thing, how like he really shines when he has a lesser peon to kind of slap around and make himself look better and more competent. And like that was Kamek, which, man, phenomenal job there. But like is that bit where he's like, it really makes you come out of your shell, huh? I told you that line was stupid. You're doing great. That joke killed me, dude.
It was so like
good.
the fact that like they show in the earlier scene him practicing what he's gonna say to Peach. And then he says it, and you see how it backfires. Like, you could feel the secondhand cringe from that. Like, it was so well done.
It was so good. Oh, man. Oh, man. So, I will say some of the weaker parts of the movie. Because were the other characters we haven't talked about. That being of Toad. I liked Toad as a character.
Yeah.
My only thing was just that, like, he kind of was just there.
Yeah, I mean, he helped out at a few points.
He did. And I kind of expected more from him, and so it was kind of surprising that there wasn't as much.
Yeah.
'Cause, like... And that's one of the things that, like, I've seen people complain about is the pacing of this movie, which, I don't know, I kind of, like, part of me liked the snappier pacing, part of me wanted some scenes to kind of, like, I don't know, be built on just a little bit more. Yeah. Like,
stretch maybe a little bit more.
Just like, not a lot, but just a little more than what we got. Because, like, Toad kind of just inserts himself as, like, I'm Mario's best friend now, and I'm just like, you kind of just decided that, and Mario kind of just goes along with it, and then it doesn't go anywhere. Like, we're just like, okay, we've just now established that fact, and we take it as canon because Toad said it is.
Mm-hmm.
And
he definitely does one-up the typical, like, annoying sidekick character that you'd get in a lot of other movies. Like he is kind of like intentionally like filling that role, but then like he's actually funny and he actually does help out during some of the more intense moments, and like, you know, he actually has a personality.
Yeah. And so it's weird because like I liked him.
Yeah.
The movie just kind of didn't do anything with him. He was kind of just
do enough.
He was kind of just there to kind of just fill the quota of that sidekick. And I'm like, man, we could have had Luigi there. Like, we could have gotten more Luigi.
They could have kidnapped Peach's favorite toad, and then Mario, Luigi, and Peach go on a journey to save him.
Yeah, and like, I don't know. This is just like I didn't hate him, but I was like, you definitely could have done more here with him.
Mm-hmm.
He was very much like a filler character.
Right. And well, and when you think about how much they fit into the movie, it's kind of like, yeah, how do you find the time to explore these characters more?
Mm-hmm. And then the other one for me was like DK and Cranky.
DK, yes.
Yeah. How was the thing? I wasn't prepared to have DK be kind of my least favorite character.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know. It was Seth Rogen. He wasn't bad, but he wasn't good. I was just kind of about his performance.
This is interesting. I've got some differing opinions, but
okay.
Go on.
I don't know. Like, I didn't. The weird thing is, I didn't hate him. There were a couple of deliveries I was like, you could have put a lot more into that. But like, I liked at least the story and the character that they gave DK.
Yeah.
I will also say, just the thing about Cranky that bothered me, maybe it's because we had the Donkey Kong Country cartoon.
Yeah.
And like, say what you will about how horrible that show is, Cranky's voice is like spot on. Like, like he sounds exactly like what he should. Just this crotchety old grump. And then like, I don't know.
That's not the kind of role that they were fitting for Cranky in
No,
this one.
yeah. And so I was just kind of like looking at him and I was like, like he's just kind of this laid back king that like doesn't give a crap about anything. And so I was like, man, like...
Yeah, Cranky was kind of whatever in the movie. Like, not offensive, but just, like, hardly a character. Yet, like, got a fair amount of screen time.
Yeah. I will say, though, what I did enjoy about DK was the dynamic... Like, regardless of the acting, I felt like the dynamic that they were trying to show between him and Mario was really good.
Yes.
The kind of the rivalry. I keep bringing it back to Sonic, but like Sonic and Knuckles, like that's the vibe it gave me of like rivals turned kind of friends that still poke each other a little bit too hard.
Mm-hmm. I love that DK would never get full on like sentimental with Mario ever. Mm-hmm. That just like they would finally start having a moment of like, oh, like my dad doesn't support me either. And then DK is like, your dad must be a genius. I wouldn't believe in you. Like, you suck. Like, they get to those moments. You think they're finally going to connect and have a moment. And then DK just, like, won't let it happen.
Also, Seth Rogen's laugh. Like, I heard it a couple of... like, I heard it and I was just like, that took me out of the movie.
I loved it.
Like oh no, I liked it, but also like it was jarring and it messed with my brain.
I think maybe like a little bit lighter version of what your opinion is. I don't think Seth Rogen was the best actor for DK. That's another one that they probably could have found somebody better. Like, heck, even imagine like Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson as DK. Like. But like I feel like DK is almost kind of like how you were saying about Toad. Like, I wish they'd spent more time on him. Because there's hints of a backstory, and maybe what they're doing is they're just saving it for a Donkey Kong movie.
Yeah, maybe.
Which they totally could do. That would be the coolest way to bring back King K. Rool. Nintendo, are you listening?
Please.
But anyway, like, that certainly would be, you know, something that they could do, like, in a future movie. But I really do wish they had explored a bit more, because they had that dynamic of, like, you know, DK being like, oh, my dad just wants to use me for whatever. He doesn't really care about me or who I am as a person and stuff. And it's like, that's interesting. I want to know more. We can't learn more because this isn't a Donkey Kong movie. It's a Mario movie.
Yeah.
I would have liked it a bit better if they explored DK a bit more. But it's, you know, the same thing as Luigi. Like, it's not the quantity, it's the quality. And, like, there was no fart jokes with DK.
There was that one scene, I think we talked about it as we were walking out of the theater.
Yes.
Where, like, I was primed for it. I was like, here's the illumination fart joke. I'm ready for it. And then it didn't happen, and I was like, someone on the team showed incredible restraint right there.
Or they cut it out. Because
the DVD release is gonna have that deleted scene, and the commentary is gonna be like, "Yeah, we thought this joke was great, and then Miyamoto said no." So here's a deleted scene of DK making a fart joke.
Do you have any other characters that you're wanting to talk about?
I do have one more, and that was the Mario Brothers' dad. Because it was Charles Martinet. Because the thing was, we knew that he was getting a cameo.
Yes.
And there was that one guy that does just Mario. It's Charles doing his Mario voice.
The Wahoo.
Yeah. And I was like, really? Is this all you're going to give him?
That's it? A background character?
Like, you know, and it, like, further drove in that nail of, like, Hollywood celebrity casting instead of giving, you know, people who are talented and could... I bet you Charles Martinet could have made this movie shine. However, and something that I really liked, is the idea of him playing the Mario Brothers' dad.
Yeah.
Because when you think about it on a meta level, this is the father of these two characters. He made them what they are.
Yes.
And this is almost like a passing of the torch of like, alright, take this character and show me what you can do with it.
Yes, I loved that aspect about it. And it's the fact that, like, in terms of sheer reputation, like, we're not talking a Hollywood reputation, we're talking, like, Mario fandom reputation. Chris Pratt is nobody. And Charles Martinet is, like, God. Like, Chris has such big shoes to fill by being cast into this role. And so the fact that it's, like, this story of Mario trying to gain his father's approval, like nobody believes in him and he's trying to, like, prove himself. There is something so amazing about Charles Martinet at the end being like, I'm proud of you, son.
Yeah. It slapped me in the face, like, how emotional that got me. And I've, like, it's, of, like, the many things in this movie, it's one of the things that stuck with me. And I was like, dang, this is a good movie.
Oh, that was so good. And the fact that, like, Charles is, like, basically, like, all of the extras in the family as well. That was charming.
It was great. And
it also kind of, Charles being Mario's dad also kind of takes me back to, like, his story of, like, the first time he auditioned for the role and how he's trying to think of what to give Mario. He's thinking, like, a more, like, gruff, like,
Brooklyn,
Italian type of...
Yeah.
Brooklyn
first it says,
accent.
I'm under your sink, don't bother me.
And so the fact that, like, his, like, Mario's dad in this is kind of, like, you know, stone cold and, like, blunt about his opinions and everything, it kind of evokes a bit of that.
I know. The other thing that I wanted to highlight was the music choices in this movie. Like,
oh yes.
So I want to step aside and just say this, that, like, I don't think we needed all of, like, the pop song, like, you know...
the 80s montage music.
Yeah. I was like, I think this movie could have shined without those.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, being, you know, born in the 90s and growing up with, like, 80s and 90s music...
Yes.
Every single one of those is, like, songs that I have in my playlist that I'm like, oh, I freaking love this song. And so, like, every single one of those, I was like, you get a pass because you have good taste in montage music.
Now, is this is probably going to be my hot take that's going to get me crucified because I have one of these in every episode we record somehow. Like, I say not only, like, you know, 80s montage music is fun, like, I think it was a great addition to the movie for the reason that, like, this is something that, like, cinema does that video games kind of don't. And so this is an opportunity to bring that kind of, like, humor and, like, mood to something like the Mario universe.
Mm-hmm.
And they picked the ones that are, like, you know, in every movie. There's, you know, like, Holding Out for a Hero and Take on Me, like, they're just super iconic songs, and, like, those songs are about as iconic to cinema as Mario is to video games. Like,
yeah.
It is, and it's so unapologetically cheesy about it that,
yeah.
And again, we're Sonic fans. Like, this is par for the course for us. Like, I unironically love cheesy moments in storytelling that are, like, self-aware cheesy. 'Cause, like, the training montage of Mario trying to get through the obstacle course to Holding Out for a Hero, it was so campy and it was so silly, and it was just like, I love this.
Oh yeah. Well, and there's also this part of me that I'm like, oh hey, they used the original, like, song, not the Shrek version.
Shrek version.
Because that's the thing, is that, like, everyone, when they reference that song anymore, they acknowledge that, and I'm like, I kind of like the original singer better, so, like...
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing, it wasn't the original singer, I noticed, because Bonnie Tyler's voice is a bit, like, gruffer.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, it was a different singer, but it was, like, a cover of the original.
Yeah.
Instead of the Shrek version. That's the other opinion that'll definitely get us crucified. I vastly prefer the original,
Bonnie Tyler.
The Footloose version of Holding Out for a Hero to the Shrek version, which everybody likes, and I'll respect your opinion, but I do disagree.
The other thing too was it was at the beginning of the movie, the bit where they're the job with the dog and the bathroom.
Yes.
Like, there's this part of me that, on the one hand, the classical music as everything falls apart around them, like, I'm like, that's a very Illumination, like, thing.
That's, my guy, that's just peak cinema.
Well,
like,
yeah.
That is grade A comedy.
No, well, here's what I want to say, though. Like Illumination would make that kind of joke.
Oh, of course. That is,
like,
absolutely something you'd see in a Despicable Me movie.
That's what I mean. Like, nothing about that, to me, screamed Miyamoto. However, the humor in that moment was so, like, entertaining. Like, him catching the dog with the plunger out of, like, the window was... I was dying.
Yep.
And so, like, you know, it's one of those things, like, all of that right there was very much, like, it felt like not, you know, letting the Mario score be like, hey, we're a Mario movie. Trust us to be a Mario movie. And felt more like, well, we gotta get the general audience involved, and we need something they can recognize. But everything else about the score in this movie, gosh dang. I think you remember it when the credits were rolling, and it was that big medley of all the songs, and we got to the Mario Galaxy bit. And I was fist pumping. I was like, yes!
Yeah, that was honestly just a thing of beauty right there.
It was
Well, and like all of it was like getting to hear the when they got to the underwater section, they were playing the underwater theme orchestrated. Like, oh, that song is so pretty.
Or even how they mixed like the invincibility power up into like the big Bowser beatdown. Like,
right. Or the scene where Bowser is playing the piano and doing the underground theme, and Kamek is doing like the coin and the 1-up jingle. Like, oh, that was so good.
The music in this movie was great.
It was this was the one instance where I was like, hey, Sonic movie, are you paying attention? People like it when you use an orchestral score of the video game themes. Do
Crush
that,
40.
Please.
Crush 40, please.
We just need Live and Learn in Sonic 3. That's like
my fear, small tangent, but my fear for Sonic 3, because they're like, oh, it's Shadow. We're getting Sonic Adventure 2, the movie. And I was like, what if we just get Shadow? And that's it.
And it's not Sonic
It's
Adventure
not Sonic
2.
Adventure 3. Or Sonic Adventure 2. And I'm just like, so I'm trying to temper my expectations, because Sonic Adventure 2 would be great, but like, and that's kind of the whole thing about like this movie, and why I'm like, it's not a perfect movie, is that it still has elements of that Hollywood not
meddling.
trusting people to like what they're gonna like.
Yeah.
And to take risks and to play it safe. Like, we mentioned it on the way out. There were like 3 or 4 different slow-mo jokes.
Yeah,
in
that
this
was
movie.
maybe the worst part about the comedy was the over-reliance on slow-mo, and specifically Mario saying Mamma Mia while it's in slow-mo. They did that joke twice, and it's like, come on, guys. Like,
guys, seriously. Like, there are other jokes. You can't just use one. Maybe that's what happened. They're like, we don't have any fart jokes to mix in here now. We gotta go with another slow-mo joke if we want to keep people coming to our theater.
Yeah, man, there's still so much to talk about, and it's like,
I know,
we're needing to wrap up. I do want to say though, like, okay, background characters.
Oh,
that was another thing that they nailed. Like, there is just a lot of like fun references to stuff. The one, like, you haven't played Odyssey, so you don't get it yet, but like the few seconds of Pauline,
I still saw her.
Saw
her, and I recognized her. I'm like, okay, I know this is a thing, and I appreciate that she's there. Because I was like, that
made me so happy, and it's the fact that she's in like the regular like Brooklyn and not the Mushroom Kingdom. Like, something about that was just like, that's a good fit. Like,
or freaking Diddy Kong and Dixie and Chunky, like all of the Kongs.
Okay, my favorite DK character is absolutely Diddy Kong. I was so happy to see him there. I was so happy that like his jokes were actually funny. Like,
dude, that's bringing up again the soundtrack. On the one hand, I'm very upset about them not crediting Grant Kirkhope, because he absolutely, like, man's a genius. Man deserves the recognition for writing that. Especially with, like, how many credits are slapped onto every other song. Like, that's insulting.
It is.
On the other half of it, though, like, setting my disappointment with that, and just appreciating the movie for what it is, I adored the use of the DK rap, and the joke about, like, Diddy still going, and then just, Diddy, shut up! Like, that, I was grinning from ear to ear. And so it's like, one of those...
it's so good. You know who else was an amazing background character? That, like, I had a feeling they were going to go this direction just by looking at the character design. But the spiny blue-shelled Koopa general.
Yup.
Because the moment I saw him, I'm like, that's a blue shell. He's gonna, like, either like use a blue shell or have blue shell powers or something is the fact that he like chucks off the helmet and goes blue shell.
See, I'm upset because it took us so long to get to the theater to see this because scheduling between us is impossible.
Yeah.
People spoiled that for me.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Like I didn't know what it was, but like the internet would be like Mario blue shell scene. And I'm just like, cool, okay, so there's a blue shell moment in there. So like and I was really upset because that like took the wind out of my sails on that scene that was awesome. And like same with like the Peaches was like I hadn't listened to it, but it was everywhere. That like
you just see the lyrics typed out, and you're like, oh, stop.
Well, no, just that like there's Bowser at a piano, and they're just like it's like Bowser's Peaches song, and I'm like, cool. So like now I know that Jack Black is gonna sing in this movie. Like, awesome. I appreciate how dumb of a song it was.
Right.
That made it a little better because I was like, oh, this is what everyone's freaking out about. But like I was upset that like that got spoiled for me, and it's one of those things where I'm like, I don't know. I'm like, I understand that like the movie had been out for almost a month at that point. But also I'm a busy adult. I've got a child, and trying to arrange a babysitter for him is not easy, and like manage schedules. And more than anything though, in spite of that, like in spite of like some things getting spoiled for me and kind of ruining some of the fun, I'm glad I saw this movie with you.
Yes. In regards to the Peaches song, I remember when I was getting lunch with Steven, he was talking, he's like, have you heard like Bowser's like Peaches song yet? And I'm like, no, I'm avoiding spoilers. I haven't seen the movie yet. And he's like, yeah, me neither. But it must be nice to not have TikTok. And I was like, yeah, I really do enjoy not having TikTok. It makes my life better.
You should get a Tumblr. Tumblr's a vaccination against using TikTok.
I just want a vaccination against social media because
it's really social media. I had to blacklist the Mario movie, like just because people did that thing where they're like, "Ah, it's been a month. I can post my spoilers now."
I mean,
everyone's seen it.
It's at least better than Sonic, where it's like, "Oh, it's only a month till the game comes out. I can spoil everything." Like,
yeah.
Yeah, I think we're starting to
drift into final thoughts territory thing.
No, I think we're starting to drift into rambling when we should drift into final thoughts.
Yeah, well, fair.
I guess because we are supposed to trade faves, like we kind of already mentioned, but like favorite character?
Mario.
Yeah, kind of me too.
Luigi's up there though.
Luigi as well.
Specifically, I think it's Mario and Luigi when they're together.
Oh, of course. Well, dude, now you're sounding like me with my Sonic and Tails shtick. Like,
and that's the thing. Like, that's the whole reason I love Sonic and Tails. And like, it was just that, but in the Mario thing. Ah, man, yeah. And that, the funny thing though is that I think Mario was my favorite character in the '93 version too.
Right.
I know we kind of like got off that topic to just talk about the new one because the idea was to compare them because the thing was I was expecting to find like a lot of things to not like in both of them, and then I was surprised when the new one just kind of blew it out of the water, and I was like, dang.
Well, that kind of is to compare our experience watching both. It's kind of the same deal. Like, I was expecting a terrible movie in both cases.
Yes.
And then, like, in the really bad 93 movie, I still found some things that I appreciated about it. And then in the case of the current movie, like, it was just such an amazing, fun time. And, like, I was not expecting even that. I was expecting, like, oh, this will be kind of fun, and then it'll be, like, a stupid movie or whatever. And it's like, no, it's a great movie! It's fun! I think it does hinge on the fact that you have to like Mario to get maximum enjoyment out of the movie.
Yes.
Like, I would not recommend this film to my dad, who is, like, crazy about, like, seeing all kinds of films.
Yeah, absolutely.
But to anybody that has played and enjoyed a Mario game, I think you'd like this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for me, and this was the most fascinating thing, like, when we decided to go into this.
Mm-hmm.
My default state is that I have to remind myself that I'm a Mario fan.
Mm-hmm.
Mostly because, like, at my core, I'm a Sonic fan, and unfortunately, you know, there's a lot of history between those two. There's, like, you're one or the other. And I'm like...
Society tells you that you have to be one or the other.
Yeah, well, and there is this element of, like, you know, Mario and Sonic do a lot of the same things, and Mario gets praised for a lot of things while Sonic gets criticized for them. And so I have kind of this inherent, like, disdain towards Mario because of that. Like,
right.
Just because I was like, they're the same, and, you know, how is one better than the other when they didn't even do anything different? like, and all so...
Right. That's a hot take that's gonna get us canceled.
No, yeah, and, like, it's not that exactly. That's me kind of, like, abridging
exaggerating.
It's a lot more detailed and nuanced than that.
Right.
But, so, as a result, there's this part of me that is kind of like, you know, I kind of want to see Mario get knocked on his butt, just to show that, like, hey, Sonic can still go toe-to-toe with him.
I
like,
disagree with that
yeah, and it's not even, like, it's a very subdued part of me, but there is still that part of me. That very cynical part of me.
I do get where that comes from, and I get that it also is not, like, completely sincere, but it is just kind of an emotion that you would have.
Yeah. It's an emotion I keep very locked up. But,
right.
and that's why I say I need to remind myself that I am a Mario fan, because, like, there are elements of Mario that I really enjoy, and both of these movies actually were some of those that I was like, dang, you know, I found a lot of things to like in the 93 version. And then, like I said, I was going into this movie, like the new one, with the expectation of hating Mario, of, like, the entire cast, and then walking out with him being my favorite character.
Yeah. That is... So, like, in my case, because this is an interesting, like, point you bring up with, like, the Mario versus Sonic stuff, in my case, like, the highest highs of the Sonic franchise will always be, like, some of my favorite things in fictional media. It is just 100% what my tastes are.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, the highest highs of Mario are nothing to... you know, nothing to scoff at.
Oh, yeah.
Like, Mario and Sonic, for me, like, I have never seen the value in pitting the two against each other, which is just a thing that people would do. They both fill different parts of my heart. Which is to say, like, they're equal but different.
That's probably the best way to
satisfy
put it.
different things.
Mm-hmm.
And the things that they do best, they both are, like, amazing at those things. And so I think it's kind of weird to... It's apples and oranges, you know?
It is. And I feel like I should clarify that, like, the only reason I even feel that way at all is because I am so deeply entrenched in, like, the Sonic side of things that, like, you just, like, whether you want to or not, it gets kind of thrown at you. And... you kind of have to, like, justify against it. And, like, it's not something I ever wanted to do.
And it was something that was very, like, enforced upon gaming culture. Because, like, our younger brother Steven is in the same boat, but on the Mario side of things. Like, he has a bit of disdain for the Sonic series because of its, you know, being pit against the Mario series and him liking the Mario series more. Like, I've heard him express this to me. It's pretty much like your opinion, but favoring Mario over Sonic.
Exactly, and it's a
and then he
situation.
has those moments of, like, oh yeah, I do like some Sonic stuff as well. Like, and then I'm just the little Mexican girl. Por qué no los dos? Why not both?
I really, yeah. But it is interesting to me because like I said, then when things like this come around and I'm like, I really liked that. And I think part of it too, for me, why I tend to lean a little more Sonic is that Sonic is a little more narratively focused than Mario. And that's something that resonates with me. But then, like, when Mario does become narratively focused, and I find elements in that narrative that I resonate with, like Mario as a character in this movie, and his dynamic with Luigi, are things that I very much appreciated in this movie, that I was like, yeah, no, I am a Mario fan. I do like Mario.
That's the one you want to talk about, because we've talked about this before with stuff like when we talked about Chrono Trigger or whatever, that fear of like, I want to show you this thing and I want you to think it's cool because I do, but I'm scared you might not. Like, this movie is kind of renewing my hope that you may enjoy Mario Odyssey to the same degree that I do.
Oh, absolutely.
Because that's just, like, one of my favorite video games of all time, but there is kind of that rigid, like, no, Sonic's better kind of thing that, like, I worry that and not just the Mario versus Sonic stuff, but, like, you're like, no, like, narrative stuff is more my jam, and so, like, the gameplay stuff kind of not as much, but, like, I like, having had this experience with you, and just a lot of, like, positive Mario-related things going on recently for us, I'm kind of, like, excited again for whenever we have a chance to get to Mario Odyssey.
And I'm excited, too, because, like, you know, outside just kind of peeking in, like, I see a lot of stuff there that I'm like, oh, I'll probably like this. You know, and so it's funny to me, too, because, like I said, I don't want to dislike Mario, and there is a lot of merit there that I do like about Mario. Like I mentioned when we were watching the credits and it got to the Mario Galaxy thing, Mario Galaxy is one of my favorite Mario games. Just because, like I think it's specifically the soundtrack is so grand and, like, uplifting. And it's specifically, like, their choice of, which, was that Gusty Garden? Or was it...
Gusty Garden? I think that was Gusty Garden, because that's, like, I mean, people are saying it's the overplayed Mario Galaxy song, but, like...
Well, for me, it's a Peanut Butter Gamer's Luigi song. Because he's forever... Those lyrics have forever ruined, but made that song better for me.
Yeah. Thought we could end on a high note.
But... I'm sorry. No, are you kidding me?
No, it's cool.
It's me.
No, but it's that I think more than anything else, specifically for our podcast and, like, us, like, what we care about most, the biggest W of this movie was Mario and Luigi and their relationship.
Absolutely. Another thing too that I could say that is high praise for this movie. So, like, my wife is the type of person that she's like, we don't need to buy a movie, like, unless it's really good. Yeah. And, like, worth owning and going back and watching it again. And she told me, like, we were coming back inside the house, she was like, I wouldn't mind owning that movie. And that is high praise. That is high praise.
Oh, it's so good.
So, good job.
And then she had to spoil the moment by saying, like, the best part of that movie is that Daisy wasn't in it. And then other people in the theater were like, yeah! I was like, screw you. Let people enjoy things.
I forgot about that. That's, again, go see our Smash Bros. Thing on Daisy, and my wife.
Actually, that's the thing, though. My opinions on Daisy have changed since we have done that episode.
I know.
I now like the character a bit more than I used to, but
it's just funny to me because my wife has a comedic rivalry with Daisy, and, like, Daisy's the ultimate villain, and so, like, her just saying that to, like, just to us while we were walking out, and then some guy behind us was like, yeah!
There was, like, a whole group of dudes back there that were all laughing at that comment.
That was so funny to me that I was like, oh, okay. There's more.
I'm just like, it'd be a perfect remedy to that. Second Mario movie with Daisy in it, and they make her a good character, just like Peach. Like,
well, let's see, because we have the '93 Mario movie with Daisy in it,
and she was not a good character. In that.
To be fair, I'm glad that Daisy wasn't in this movie too.
That's a good point. Anywho, we're about coming up on our typical 2-hour length.
Yup.
For these
we get rambling, and I get on tangents.
You sure do.
That's the whole point of this, is so that we can talk. We can spend time with brothers.
I'm not gonna take blame for this, even though I totally should.
Oh, I did want to say, I appreciated that in both movies, both sets of Mario Brothers had a dumb secret handshake.
Yes!
Glack, 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 glack.
Glack, 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 glack.
That was so dumb.
As soon as I saw it in the new Mario movie, they did their little secret handshake thing. I was like, it's just like the old movie. Oh, man. Well, thanks for joining us, guys. In conclusion, go see Puss in Boots: The Last Wish.
Yup.
Wahoo!
Alright.
That's a Pikachu mic! Wahoo!
Okay. Do you know what I don't know, are we starting? Did we start?
No.
Oh.
No, we haven't started yet. Would you like to start?
Luigi, you cheated the system. You've changed the future.
Mario, you incapacitated 4 civilians! Okay, I'm gonna start.
Hello, Mario.
Hello, Mario. No,
sorry,
right.
It's late now and I'm getting loopy, so this is gonna be a good episode.
Well, the sooner you shut your big yap, the sooner I can do this not funny opening joke, and then we can start.
Oh boy! I hope it's Minions. I don't.
Scribbles on a piece of paper. No, of course not. Why would I open with?
Why would anyone?